Madam Mayor, members of the council, thank you very much for inviting me this evening. I am Jeff Jones. I reside at 104 West Morton Street in the city of Moscow. I'm the executive director, part-time, for the Moscow Urban Renewal Agency, and I would like to convey the regards of our chairman, John McCabe, who is not able to be here this evening, but he certainly sends his wishes. Several weeks ago, the mayor had invited me to offer a presentation to the League of Women Voters. And during that meeting, it was abundantly clear at the end of that meeting that there are a lot of people who still didn't understand how urban renewal worked. There was also seemed to be a lack of knowledge with regards to the size of the districts, where the districts were located. And so I thought this evening we would basically take a stroll down memory lane for a little bit and basically cover the profile of the agency, the districts, how tax incremental financing works, some of the challenges facing the agency, potential projects in the works, and any questions that the council would like to ask us. Basically, the agency was organized by the City Council in 1995. The agency acts as an arm of the Idaho State Government, entirely separate and distinct from the City of Moscow as provided in Idaho Code Section 50-2006. The purpose of the agency is to undertake urban renewal projects in areas designated by the City of Moscow to be deteriorating and to undertake this rehabilitation, conservation, redevelopment, or a combination thereof in the interest of the public health, safety, morals, or welfare of the residents of the city. The agency is comprised of 7 commissioners appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the City Council. 2 members of the Moscow City Council constitute that board, 1 member of the Latah County Commission, and 4 members of the citizenry at large. The Board of Commissioners elect the chairman, vice chairman, and secretary from the ranks of the commission. The treasurer office may be filled by commissioners or the staff appointments made by the commission. Here's all of the really handsome people that are involved with our agency, with the exception of the guy in the bottom in the middle. John McCabe, our chairman, City Council member Tom Lamar is our vice chairman, Steve McGeehan is our secretary, City Council member Sue Scott, commissioner, Brandy Sullivan, commissioner, Steve Drown, commissioner, Commissioner Dave McGraw is also an urban renewal commissioner, myself as the executive director, and Don Palmer is our treasurer. The chairperson is the chief presiding officer of the agency. The chairman executes all deeds, bonds, contracts, and other legal documents authorized by the commission. Some of the chairman's duties may be delegated by the Board of Commission to the agency's half-time executive director, who oversees the day-to-day operations of the agency and carries out the policies of the board. The City of Moscow is responsible for defining the geographic boundaries and legal creation of all urban renewal districts within the city. The Alturas Technology Park District was created in 1995, and the Legacy Crossing District was created in 2008. The agency provides funding for these efforts through the use of tax incremental financing. We have 2 districts within the city. The first is the Alturas Technology Park District. The revenue generation area consists of approximately 62 acres. The first phase was 7.37 acres. The second phase was a little over 6 acres. The property is zoned RTO. Right now there's 160 high-tech jobs located in the Alturas Technology Park.
And would you define RTO, please?
That is...
Research Technology Office.
I always have to look that up for some reason. The average salary of those jobs in that district are $50,650, which is really high for the city of Moscow. If you put that in contrast, the median household income in the city is about $35,000. The economic impact annually estimated from contributions from the district are approximately $23.6 million. District is set to close in the year 2015. The Legacy Crossing District is much larger. It's 163 acres, former railroad corridor. Many of the sites within the district are identified as brownfields. The city also has an EPA brownfield grant, and the majority of the sites that are part of the city's brownfield portfolio are within the Legacy Crossing Urban Renewal District. The area is transitioning from agriculture and industrial uses to commercial, residential, and mixed use. The agency is a property owner at 6th and Jackson. Tax incremental financing. When the city establishes a tax increment financing district, the value on the property in the district is frozen. the property taxes collected on the frozen or base value go to the various taxing entities providing services to those properties. The increase in value over the base is called the increment value, and the tax revenue generated from the increment value is transferred to the agency. This is a graph that sort of illustrates that process. The tax increment revenues are used by the agency to pay for public improvements and other revitalization activities in that district. There are three ways in which we do that. One is pay-as-you-go. Another way is through TIF debt financing and through owner participation agreements.
TIF.
Tax incremental financing. When the district closes, the increment value is added back to the base value on the tax rolls, which helps to diversify and strengthen the economic base of both the city and the county. Pay-as-you-go. This is where basically revenue is invested as is collected. It's simple and straightforward and relatively easy to manage. Improvements usually occur much more slowly because you don't have that much revenue coming in any one year, particularly in the Legacy Crossing District. An example of pay-as-you-go would be the agency's contribution to the College Street reconstruction and to the pedestrian bridge. TIF debt financing is used to borrow funds, bond sales, to make large upfront investments. They're much more complicated and costly to execute than pay-as-you-go financing, but permit more rapid and larger scale infrastructure improvements. An example of that would be the acquisition of the 6th and Jackson property and infrastructure improvements made to Alturas Technology Park. Owner participation agreements are basically where private developers or companies front the cost of new public infrastructure and are repaid with TIF revenues. An example of an owner participation agreement would be the Anderson Group, LLC, in Jackson Street Silo project, where the agency entered into an owner participation agreement to help with the environmental remediation. Some of the challenges facing the agency going forward are, all of you have read about the county assessor tax increment error, which basically that's reduced the agency revenues 40% within the Legacy Crossing Urban Renewal District, and the potential repayment of dollars between $85,000 and $100,000. New legislation this morning, Senate Bill 1046, specifically targeting eminent domain, was introduced. It could have an impact on the agency's ability to issue tax-exempt bonds. Property tax reform, the agency would stand to lose approximately $12,000 from the Legacy Crossing revenues if personal property tax were removed, and almost between $80,000 and $100,000 from the Legacy Crossing district. Transferring all of the agency's operational costs to a single district when the Alturas Technology Park closes, that's something that we're going to have to think really carefully about moving forward. And then the current build-to-suit market. Some of the issues that make the lots within the Alturas Technology Park challenging are that, the existing zoning limits a lot of uses. The floor area ratio of 0.30 is also challenging. And then the 2-year build requirement if somebody purchases a lot. And all of those things were put into place for a reason. The zoning was basically to try to create an environment where specific industry related to research, design, technology would have a place to go. The FAR was basically designed in order to create more of a technology park, a large business park type of look. And the 2-year build requirement was to remove speculators from the marketplace. Some of the projects and potential projects, we've had meetings recently with what I call the railroad property located at Troy Highway and Highway 95. Street and sidewalk improvements are some of the things that we may participate in as an agency. A pedestrian bridge is also something that we may participate on that particular site. The Daily News building, once again, street and sidewalk improvements and fiber optic infrastructure. The Dumas Seed site, street and sidewalk improvements. There may also be a need there for some environmental remediation. 6th and Jackson, which is the mirror-owned property. We have some environmental remediation that we need to continue to do. We made application for an EPA cleanup grant, which we should be notified on in April whether or not we secured the dollars in order to do that. and the design of the Hello Walk extension. We recently completed our ALTA survey of that property and have conveyed that image, those data files, over to the University of Idaho, to the Landscape Architecture School, and we're going to, we look forward to seeing some of the designs that they come up with for the Hello Walk extension. Some of the things that we've asked them to look at specifically are lighting, street furniture, drainage, weather with regards to how do we manage snow on the walk, and so we're looking forward to seeing what everybody comes up with. Are there any questions?
ALTA is, this is a
American Land
Councilor
Title
Brown.
Survey.
Okay, this is a Councilor Brown suggestion that we speak so much in alphabet soup that we need to keep the public apprised of what the heck we're talking about, even if we really don't know what we're talking about. American Land Title
Title Association.
And what do they do?
They basically, if you are going to purchase a piece of property and you have a survey developed to ALTA standards, it's in addition to just a boundary survey, then they also examine all of the other features on the site, easement, locations, any types of like telephone pole locations or like the locations on the 6 and Jackson of our dry well. And then that particular image is then compared to your title report, and that is what you utilize basically if you were going to secure title insurance for that particular piece of property.
Thank you. Other questions or comments for Jeff? Walter.
Thank you, ma'am. At some point early on, Jeff, you said, quote, close Alturas in 2015, unquote. Is that both phases?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Steed, yes, that would be both phases. The district closes in 2015.
And what's the implication of that? What happens at that point once it closes?
With regards to
Ownership of land, development of remaining undeveloped lots, any debt on the URA,
Mr. Chair,
the tax receipts?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Steed, the property that is currently owned by the URA would still be owned by the URA.
Okay.
The debt will all be paid off prior to closing, so there will be no more debt. Any excess dollars, is my understanding, would then be conveyed back to all of the taxing entities at the closure of the district.
If I may.
Please.
So there would be no tax advantage or tax dollar movement over to Legacy Crossing because of the closing of Alturas?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Steed, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Although it'll be a boon for the tax rolls. There's some good accomplishments out in that district, so congratulations on that. Okay, anybody else? All right, we thank you for your report and your good work, and compliment you and your colleagues on the URA for caring so much about community building. I appreciate the attention given to so many details.
Thank you very much.